Welcome back again. Let's go ahead and start adding in some of our first round of highlights to our humpback whale. So we're going to be using our white now quite a bit. So first thing we're going to do is mix our white and our teal together. We don't want to jump right into using white because if we start in with just pure white, it's going to be way too intense and it's not going to make a whole lot of sense. So we're going to start with the very top of the mouth over here. And we're going to go ahead and re-outline our mouth. And up here at the top of the chin, you're just going to do a few little kind of spots, little splotches, just little bloops with our brush here. And that's because they have all these barnacles and these bumps all on the ends of their chin. And then a super simple way to start getting in the texture of the belly of a humpback whale is just to build, again, those highlights on top of our darker color. So go ahead and take that white mix with our teal and just go ahead and drag it down. It's okay if it goes over the fin guys because we're going to be going over this guy and really defining that in just a few minutes. So this is just so we can get a nice line going. And they're just going to end about right here midway through the belly. I would also go ahead and take some of that white mixture we just made and add it to this back flipper. Because the inside or the underside of these humpback whales are typically white with maybe some black speckling and freckles in there, which you're more than welcome to add in. And now we're going to put the line where they have some little markings, what's called counter shading. So counter shading meaning that the belly is white and the upper portion of the body is darker. It really helps these animals camouflage in from below and above. All right, just like so. And then along our big old flipper in the foreground, which is in the front, we're just going to go ahead and add in some of that white mix over top of our flipper there. And that's because the front portion of the flippers are also white. And I'm just going to define that edge of the flipper a little bit more again. You can also go ahead and add the eyebrow and the lower eyelid right there. So I'm going to go ahead and toss this brush back into our water. And we're going to grab that small round brush, this guy right here. We're going to use this to do a lot of blending. Round brushes are fantastic for blending. So if you have a specific round brush that you've already kind of been using, please feel free to do that because this particular technique will destroy your round brushes over time. Just keep that in mind. So you see how I'm doing these little tiny circular motions. This is a great way to blend colors into one another. So it's soft. And it also is great, even when it's dry, to create some nice little dry texture. Again, mixing in our teal and our white together. I'm going to go ahead and outline my eye again. And give a nice little highlight on the upper portion. And then I'm also going to go ahead and start adding in the beginnings of some of the texture on the upper portion of the mouth. And so these are just little little tick marks going down the nose and they end just about right before the eye. And again, grabbing a little bit more, mixing it all up. We're going to go ahead and go down the back of our humpback whale. And this is going to be a pretty wet brush. Not so wet that you're dripping like how we had here in the background, but enough that it stays wet if you dry your brush. So this is called dry brush, a dry brush technique. You dry off the brush and then you come back in to the already placed pigment and you start to like, you know, that little maneuver I just showed you, use that maneuver to start spreading around that pigment softly, and you'll get a nice gradient and softening effect on your humpback whale. So this is really useful for casting light over bodies. So we're going to be using this quite a bit in this piece. And we're also going to do the same technique here in the little flipper area. And that was just to highlight right where the shoulder meets the flipper. We're going to actually go in and start working on some more darks now. But now we're not going to mix teal. We're just going to do green and blue mixed together. And we're going to get a really deep turquoise color. And this dark turquoise color, oh, look at that. It's so beautiful. We're going to use this to do a lot of our shadows and some of our counter shading right here. So that line where the white meets the dark, it's good to add in a little bit of this darkness right here because it really helps make that pattern pop. And we're also going to be adding our dark green color further down the flippers. So I'm going to use it to also define the other ridge of our little circular nodes that I showed you how to do earlier. So it's going to be like a little pearls going down the front of our humpback whale. And if you'd like to switch over go back to your teal white mix while your dark is still here, you can start to blend those two together just like so. And wow, look at that. See how you always get so much texture now by doing this little like kind of circular motion, dry brush technique. I'm gonna go back over and put this on and then again, grab that color and then meet them in the middle, mixing it. Just like so. So lots and lots of layers is what it takes to really get a more realistic looking humpback whale. But with patience, you will be rewarded, guys. And again, I'm just mixing that light to that dark. And look how nice that's looking. Very good, guys. All right, now I'm going to go back to the top of our mouth. I'm going to highlight in the dark area with a little bit of a teal color. And then I'm also going to draw some diagonal lines between our little nodes that we put earlier. That's just for some extra definition. And then below each node, you're going to put a little dark tick mark with our blue-green turquoise mix. And this is actually the shadow cast by those little pieces of texture. We're also going to define the mouth a little bit more using that exact same color. Just like so. And adding a little bit of contrast below the eye. And now we're going to use our dark color just to emphasize our little pearls, like that little pearl-like area on this back flipper as well. And you can even kind of go into the white area and add some little like scritchy scratchies with your brush for texture and also for the effect of having little freckles. Because humpback whales actually have a lot of markings on their body, not just all clean, pristine white. So be sure to add in some of your own flair to your little humpback whale. And at this line right here, where our counter shading shifts, we're also going to have some of these little spots as well. And now we're going to hop in with pure white, and we're going to re-highlight on that edge. And so we're not trying to perfectly fill in all of the area with white. It actually looks better if you leave a little bit of space with these darker kind of light blue colors. But this is just a really nice highlight. It really helps emphasize the side of the body and give him even more form and depth. And I would even recommend adding a couple little just strikes of pure white where we added our texture or our little indents for the texture of the belly. And now we're also going to do the same to the top of our humpback whale's chin. Really bright white, really define it. And in all those areas where we had that light blue earlier, now we're going to put another layer on top of it, which is pure white. And wow, look at that. So now you have 3 variations of shading and you're getting a lot more depth. You're really feeling this piece pop off your painting. Grabbing that white, really highlighting. And don't add the highlight all the way down to the bottom because this is still going to be cast in shadow. But you do want to have at least the first few little ribbing texture areas with a little bit of a highlight. And of course, you're going to want to add some white to the tops of your flippers. And again, you're not trying to fill in the whole thing completely with white. You're just trying to add a little bit of a highlight with just a pure white dab, this little bloop of white. And then you can go back over with the dry brush once the pigment is mostly off of it and kind of feather it into the color below it. Just like that. And they even have some spots that go up into the body as well. So those can be really fun if you want to add some of those. And they'll have some spots over here on the flippers. And of course, I would go ahead and add just a little bit of white into the upper portion of the flipper in the background. Just like that.